The jacket wasn't the worst part. I thought it was. I thought seeing my own jacket on a man inside my locked house was the thing I would never explain. Then the jacket fell by itself. Then the sleeve tore. And then I found what had been waiting inside that house for decades. A VHS tape hidden under the stairs with 2 words written on it. Living room. The same room where the man had been standing. The same room where my camera first detected him. And when I played the tape, the camera angle was exactly the same as mine. My name is Emily Mercer. And if this is the first time you're hearing my story, here's all you need to know. I bought an old house on Willow Creek Road. Before I moved in, I installed 1 security camera. At 3:17 in the morning, it detected a man standing inside my empty, locked house. But the man was there, and he was wearing my jacket. A dark green jacket with a tear near the left sleeve. The same jacket that should have been hanging in my apartment 15 miles away. After the police found nothing, I tried to convince myself it was a glitch. Then the real jacket fell from the hook inside the house. And when I checked it, the left sleeve was torn. The same tear from the video. That morning, I stopped pretending this was normal. I went back to the closet under the stairs. The air inside smelled old, like dust, wood, and something that had been sealed away for too long. There were paint cans, broken shelves, and a stack of VHS tapes left by the previous owner. Most of them were blank, but one tape was sitting apart from the others. A strip of masking tape was stuck across the front. The handwriting was faded. 2 words, living room. I didn't own a VCR. Nobody owns a VCR anymore, but I drove to a thrift store and bought one. That night, I connected it to my TV. The tape started with static. Then a date appeared in the corner. October 18th, 1997. The video showed my living room, but not the way it looked now. There was old furniture, a couch covered in plastic, a wooden coffee table, yellow wallpaper. And in the center of the floor, a round black rug. The rug covered the exact circular mark in the wood. For almost a minute, nothing happened. Then an old man walked into frame. Thin white hair, glasses, a sweater vest. I recognized him from the property file. Mr. Harlow, the man who owned the house before me. He stood beside the couch, staring at something off camera. Then he whispered, "I know you're here." The lamp beside him flickered. He turned toward the camera. His face was pale, terrified. Then he walked closer and said, "I'm not watching anymore." The tape cut to black. I should have stopped. I know that now, but I kept watching. The static came back. Then the date changed. October 19th, 1997, 3:17 a.m. Mr. Harlow was asleep on the couch. The room was dark. The front door was closed. For 30 seconds, nothing moved. Then the front door opened. Slowly. No one was outside, just darkness. Mr. Harlow woke up. He sat up and stared at the doorway. Then he whispered, "Don't come in unless I ask." The room went silent. Then a voice answered from somewhere near the camera. Not loud, not angry, almost polite. "You already did," the tape ended. I sat in front of the TV, unable to move. Behind me was my living room, the same floor, the same circular mark. And then I heard the front door creak. I turned around. Nothing was there, but the door was open, just a crack. The next morning, I called the realtor. I asked for Mr. Harlow's contact information. She went quiet. Then she said, "Emily, I thought you knew." "Knew what?" "Mr. Harlow died before the sale." I stopped breathing. She had told me he moved in with family, but that wasn't true. His family handled the sale because he was already gone. I searched his name online. It took less than 20 minutes to find the article. Small local paper. Elderly man found outside Willow Creek home after storm. No crime, no suspect, no explanation. But one line made my hands shake. Neighbors reported lights flickering inside the home at approximately 3:17 a.m. 3:17. Again. That night, I did not sleep in the house. I packed a bag, I took the VHS tape and I took the security camera with me. I drove to a motel 15 miles away. I thought distance would help. I thought if the camera wasn't inside the house, the notifications would stop. At 3:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. Person detected in living room. Living room, not motel room. I looked across the motel room. The camera was sitting on the desk, unplugged. No light, no power. Still, the app showed a new recording. I clicked it. The video showed my living room. The same fireplace, the same staircase, the same front door, the same impossible camera angle. But there was no camera in that room anymore. It was with me, in the motel. For the first few seconds, the room was empty. Then, someone walked into frame. Me. I saw myself enter the living room wearing the green jacket, the torn sleeve. My face looked pale. My hair was messy, like I hadn't slept in days. I walked to the center of the room, stopped on the circular mark. Then I looked directly into the invisible camera and smiled. I threw the phone across the motel room. The screen cracked against the wall, but the video kept playing. My own voice came from the speaker, not live, recorded, flat, almost calm. You shouldn't have watched it alone. At sunrise, I drove to my brother Mark's house. This time, he didn't laugh. No jokes, no Wi-Fi demons. He watched the video twice. Then he said, "We're going back in daylight." I told him no. He said, "Then it keeps choosing when you look." That scared me more than anything else, because he was right. Every time I tried to ignore the house, it found a way to make me watch. We went back at noon. The house looked normal. That was the worst part. No figure in the window, no strange noises, no warning. Just an old house with boxes in the hallway and dust on the floor. Mark walked straight to the living room, straight to the circular scratch. "If there's something under this floor," he said, "we're finding it." The boards came loose too easily, like someone had opened them before. Underneath was a round metal plate, black with rust, about 2 feet wide. In the center was a small keyhole. I remembered the old brass key from the kitchen drawer, the one I found the first day. My hands shook as I brought it over. The key fit. Mark looked at me and said, "Tell me you're not opening that." But I already was. The metal plate scraped against the wood as it lifted. Below it was not a basement, not a tunnel. It was a narrow vertical shaft. Cold air rose from it. And inside the shaft were mirrors, small mirrors, dozens of them, attached to the walls, all angled inward, all facing the opening. At the bottom of the shaft, maybe 8 feet down, there was a metal box. Mark lowered a hook and pulled it up. Inside were more VHS tapes. Each one had a label: kitchen, hallway, bedroom, attic, basement. Every room in the house had a tape. Then Mark stopped moving. He was holding one tape in his hand. The label was yellowed. The ink was faded, but I could still read it. Emily, my name. Not a room, not a date. My name. I stepped back so fast, I hit the wall. Mark said, "That's not possible." But nothing in that house had been possible from the beginning. We took the box outside. I refused to play the tape in the house. We drove to Mark's place. His house was quiet, normal, safe. At least that's what I told myself. The tape started with static. Then the image appeared, my living room. But not how it looked now. Not with boxes, not half unpacked. Finished, decorated. The couch was against the wall, a rug under the coffee table, books on the shelves, a framed photo beside the stairs. It was my house after I had fully moved in, but I had never arranged it that way. The timestamp appeared in the corner, November 3rd, 2 weeks in the future. The clock above the fireplace read 3:16. 1 minute later, future me walked into frame, wearing the green jacket, the torn sleeve. I looked exhausted. I walked to the center of the room, stood on the circular mark. Then I turned towards something off camera and said, "I watched them all." A voice answered. The same voice from Mr. Harlow's tape. Calm, almost kind. Then you understand. Future me nodded. Then she looked directly at the camera, directly at Mark, directly at me, and said, "Don't let her go back." The screen cut to static. For a long time, neither of us moved. Then Mark took the tape out and said, "We destroy all of them." We broke the tapes in his garage. Not dramatically. No ritual. No fire. Just a hammer, trash bags, and both of us pretending plastic could end something like this. Kitchen, hallway, bedroom, attic, basement, living room. Emily. We smashed every tape. Then we drove to different dumpsters and threw the pieces away separately. I canceled the moving truck. I listed the house for sale. Every buyer backed out. Some said the house felt too dark. Some said they heard something upstairs during the showing. One woman walked into the living room, looked at the floor, and asked, "What used to be there?" No one bought it. Eventually, I stopped trying. I still own the house. I pay taxes on it. I keep the lights off. I keep the doors locked. Once a month, I drive past during the day to make sure it's still standing. I never stop. I never go inside. And I never watch cameras anymore. At least, I thought I didn't. Last week, a package arrived at my apartment. No return address. Inside was the security camera. The same one I had taken to the motel. The same one that had been unplugged when it sent me footage from the house. The lens was cracked. The edges looked burned. There was a note taped to the bottom. 3 words. "Keep watching, Emily." I should have smashed it. I know that. But curiosity is how the house gets in. Not through a door, not through a window, through that tiny part of your mind that says, "Just one more look." I plugged it in for 5 seconds, not at the house, at my apartment, just to see if anything was still on it. The app recognized the camera immediately. A new recording appeared. No date, no timestamp, just a file name. "After you leave." I pressed play. The video showed my apartment. My actual apartment. The room I was sitting in. From an angle near the ceiling. I looked up. There was no camera there. On the screen, I saw myself sitting at my desk, watching the recording. Exactly as I was doing in that moment. Then, behind recorded me, the closet door opened. I turned around in real life. My closet door was closed. On the screen, something stepped out. Not fully, just enough for me to see the sleeve. Dark green, torn on the left side. Then, the video froze. A message appeared across the screen. Not typed, not clean. Scratched into the image. "Don't watch alone." The camera shut off. I haven't plugged it in since, but every night at 3:17, my phone lights up. Even with the app deleted, even with no camera connected, even with the house 15 miles away, the notification is always the same. Person detected in living room. I don't live in that house anymore. I don't own a camera anymore. And still, the alert comes back. I never open it. Not now, because I think the house only needed me to watch once. That's how it learned me. That's how it followed me. And maybe that's what happened to Mr. Harlow. Maybe he didn't invite it in. Maybe he just watched too long. So if you ever find an old tape in a house that should be empty, don't play it. If a camera records someone standing in a room where no one should be, don't zoom in. And if a notification wakes you up at 3:17 in the morning and it says, "Person detected," do not open it. Because maybe the person isn't inside the house. Maybe the person is behind you, watching you watch. And by the time you realize it, you're not alone anymore. If you made it to the end of Emily's story, subscribe to the channel. A new horror story begins next. Different place, different people, same warning. Don't watch it alone.